Hi, it's Aaron of Square Thunder, and this is episode number 4 of Fast Logo Friday, where every week I design a logo from a random weird word. Keep watching to the end of the episode, and I'll explain why I could never present this concept to the client, because I had an awesome idea that somebody else already had. Our word today is Munro, M-U-N-R-O. It's the name given to any of the 277 mountains in Scotland that are more than 3,000 feet high. They're named after mountaineer Sir Hugh Thomas Munro, who published a list of all 277 mountains in the Journal of the Scottish Mountaineering Club in 1891. It also happens to be the last name of a good friend of mine, so Rocket Man, this one's for you. But first, coffee. That's better. Let's get to work. Alright, this one I'm not starting with the sketching process, as I have a pretty good idea of where I want it to go already. I'm using some basic rectangles to lay out the shapes for each of the letters in the word. I'm just duplicating things as I go along and rearrange as necessary. So I'm going to turn the top of the R and rotate it around and make it into the bottom part of an S. And just make sure we get shapes the same size and consistency along the way. Next I'm going to join each of those rectangles and use the Pathfinder tool to unite them into one shape. And I'm going to use this little triangle here to notch out at the top of each of the letters where a curved portion of the letter would meet a straight stem of each letter. Just using a regular line as a guide and moving it along and duplicating as necessary. Selecting each of the corners and rounding that over a little bit. Give it a bit of a curve. Tweak the letter positioning here and the kerning spacing between each letter. I'm going to duplicate the M and shrink it down a little bit, and I'm again using the sizes from the different parts of the letter as a kind of a consistent measuring device to make sure I have consistent spacing between different elements and sizes of elements in this mark that I'm going to make. So a couple of little rectangles to surround the M. I'm just tweaking proportions here. I'm going to use the warp tool to just bend that into a bit of a curve and expand that appearance. And just reposition things here a little bit. Get everything lined up properly. Put a bit of a round over on a couple of those shapes as well. Next I'm going to draw a circle behind it, throw it into the back and duplicate that and fill it with the black color. And I'm going to grab the bottom point and pull it down and shape this into kind of a navigational pin shape. Just tweak the handles a little bit. I'm going to duplicate that same shape and scale it down and use that as the apostrophe. Position that properly, and we'll add our word Truckstop here. We're making a logo for a truck stop. And just pick a nice font that works well. And that's not the right one, so we'll flip it over to a different font. It's Anton, I believe. Next I'm going to select all those shapes for the letters and expand the path and give it a bit of a white border around it, and then do that again and give it a black border. And now I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper here and just refine those shapes a little bit. I'd like to make it be one solid line. I want to get rid of the little notches in between each letter here. So I'll go through with the pen tool and delete unnecessary anchor points. Do the same for the white path and the darker path that's creating the border. Just get rid of all those and clean it up a little bit. It just tidies things up a little bit and gives it more of a cohesive appearance without it being interrupted. I'm going to do the same thing for our word on the truck stop. Just again expand the path a couple of times. The same process that I used on the word Munro, and I just filled that shape with blue so I can see it against the white, just temporarily. Again, tweak the positioning and remove extraneous points in the path to tidy it up a little bit. Again, there's other ways you could accomplish this same task, but this is the way I chose to do it at the time. I'm just going to tidy up the intersection of the two shapes here, and I started with rounding off the corner, and I ended up not really liking how that was working together, so moving those over. Do that on the left side too. Just clean up that corner and get it a little more tidy and cohesive as one unit. Straighten up this side as well. We'll pop a little radius on the corner and we're done. Now we'll show the logo on a couple of use cases, on signage, some trucker hats, another promotional piece, and a tin cup. This has been a fun logo to design, but there is a big problem. It looks remarkably similar, and completely unintentionally, to the logo that belongs to another organization, Truckstop.com. They use a pin shape, they're using a very similar truck icon in that pin, so there is no way that it would be at all ethical to provide this logo to a client. So even though I really like the work, I just can't use it. I couldn't even present it because that's a surefire way to guarantee that the client would choose that logo. So as designers, we have a responsibility to do the research necessary, to look at competition, to look at other uses, and to consider, does this thing exist somewhere else? It's unfortunate, but it does happen that very often we can come up with a great idea that somebody else already had, and that's just the case here. I really like the logo. It's a good thing this is a fictional one, because I couldn't present it to the client. This has been Fast Logo Friday. I'm Aaron. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.